na msikue na wasiwasi. Wale nimesikia wale majamaa wengine kule ati wanasema ati wanapanga maandamano, ati wanataka vijana wa kufanya maandamano, ati wanataka vijana wa kufanya fujo, ati ile mpango kubwa wako naye. Nimewasikia kwa makini wanawaambia vijana, nyinyi enda mtafute kura, mkuje mtupigie kura. Mimi nataka niwaambie, hata kama hawa vijana watatafuta kura, watatafuta kura ya kupigia maslahi yao. Hawawezi kutafuta kura ya kukupigia wewe ati ukue bwana mkubwa, na hawa vijana huna mpango yao. Mimi nimewauliza na bado hawajanijibu, si ndio? Si wale jamaa nimewauliza nyinyi, sera yenu ni gani? Mpango yenu ni gani? Agenda yenu ni gani? Ati agenda yao ni kuondoa William Ruto. That is the only agenda they have. Hawana agenda ya vijana. Hawajui vijana watapata ajira namna gani, hawajui vijana watafanya biashara namna gani. Wale watu tunawaambia, msitubebe ufala bwana, wasitubebe ufala. Hamuwezi kukwepa kutuambia agenda yenu ni gani, kwa sababu tunawajua. Kwani wale watu ni malaika wamefika Kenya juzi? Si tunawajua wale jamaa zote? We know all of them. We know them, we know their capacity, we know their intellectual capacity, and we know wako chini sana. Ndio, they cannot develop any plan. That is why they are hiding behind one term, sijui Kasongo, sijui Masigo, sijui nini. Hapo tutawafurusha mpaka wasimame hapa vile nimesimama hapa nikawaambia vijana wa Kenya, tuko na mpango ya nyota, tuko na mpango ya digital jobs, tuko na mpango tunatekeleza ya housing. They too, they must stand on a podium and tell the young people of Kenya what their plan is. Ni kweli ama si kweli?
Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen, and we really appreciate for your support that you've been providing to this channel since it was started. And dear ladies and gentlemen, allow me remind you that your support to this channel is not taken for granted. And that is the statement that has come from a whole president. And to me, that statement is annoying and it is even shameful. And I want to tell you the reason why. You know, the president is talking about the agendas of the opposition, forgetting the reason why the opposition made the statement to call on demonstrations or protests. I believe if you've been keen, you know what took place some few weeks ago in Othaya constituency in Nyeri County, where the church was attacked by goons, which they claimed, or as it was reported, it was that the goons were state-sponsored and the congregants were forced to run for their dear lives when the dangerous tear gas smokes filled the church as Rigathi Gachagua and his camp were attending the church service. Now, since that day, the president has never talked about that attack that took place. But you see him today, he's talking about the leaders or the opposition calling for protests. But he's not talking about the reason why they are calling the protests. You know, to me, this thing was the abuse of power. And the president himself has not spoken about anything concerning that attack. But this statement, the opposition made it after they visited IG Kanja in his office in Nairobi and demanded for answers on what transpired in Othaya, and to be specific, in Witima ACK Church. So because they never got the answers they went for, they gave a deadline of up to date 16th of this month, so that if that date will pass without them getting the answers, they will call for protests. And that is the thing the president has not talked about at all. Now he's there talking about how the opposition only has one agenda of sending him back home, or talking about one term, but they don't have any valued agenda that can change the lives of the Kenyan citizens. And you can see how he's crowning the Nyota Fund as his project that he is using to give money to the youths. And let us just say the truth. The youths in this country are millions. We have millions of youths in this country. But the president is giving out that Nyota Fund to the youths, which, even if he decides to give that Nyota Fund to the youths, all the youths cannot get it. Yes, let us be truth here. All the youths cannot get that Nyota Fund. And you know where I find it wrong with the Kenyan government is the fact that they are branding that Nyota Fund program as the president's favor to the citizens, and they are taking it to look like the president is giving us his money direct from his pocket. And I want to tell you this, Nyota Fund, that Nyota Fund program is a program that is funded by the World Bank. Not that it is being funded, but it is a loan from the World Bank. That actually, after we will have spent that money, that is a loan, we will be required to pay it back. So ask yourself, according to how this money is being donated, or according to how that money is being given to the youths, do you see any youth there who can open any business with that 22,000? 22,000 is not that big amount of money. Let me ask you a very simple question. This 22,000 Kenyan shillings that the president is moving in each and every county or every region in this country, donating or giving to the youths, saying that the youths are going to become employers. So do you want to tell me that if I have that 22,000 Kenya shillings, I can employ someone for job? So how does that 22,000 Kenya shillings change my life? Because that 22,000 Kenya shillings, to be truthful, it cannot even pay 2 employees. If I employ even 1 employee, I cannot pay with that 22,000 Kenya shillings. Kwani, do you want to pay that person 2,000? And if I open a business with that 22,000 Kenya shillings, so which business is that? Where am I going to open that business? I will have to get the permit for that business. That is something that, to me, it is just a waste of money. And the president, if it is good, he better finds another way of empowering the youths, but not through the use of Nyota Fund, because that is the money from the World Bank, and it is coming as a loan, which after spending it the way he is spending it, we will be required to pay back that loan. So the fact that the state is branding it as the money from the president's pocket, it is not true. Even in December 2025, Kenya received 30 billion Kenya shillings from the World Bank that was meant to help in transitioning grade 10 students. And after receiving that money, remember in January when the president spoke, if I'm not wrong, he spoke in Meru, he said that the students should go back to schools whether they have the uniforms or not, and whether they have the money or not. And after that, he said they've sent 44 billion Kenyan shillings to the schools. But before we continue, dear ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this podcast and you've not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, like our videos, and comment. And to those who have already subscribed to this channel, we say thank you very much for your continued support to our work in this channel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that 30 billion Kenya shillings that Kenya received from the World Bank that was meant in transitioning grade 10 students, that money, the president said they have sent 44 billion Kenya shillings to the schools. And a very simple question, if there is anyone here watching this podcast who is, maybe we can say, who is a teacher or who is an official in education sector, then you can tell us that yes, it is true, your school received even 500,000 for grade 10 transitioning. And you know, when the World Bank was giving that 30 billion Kenya shillings to this country, Kenya, to enable them transition grade 10s, they were giving it with the aim that starting 2029, Kenya will start repaying the loan to the World Bank. And maybe if I just ask you a very simple question, that according to what is going on, according to what you are seeing, and according to the information you are getting, and what you've observed, do you think that money has been sent to do whatever it was meant to do? Just a simple question. If you've seen that money doing something in the schools, then just allow me know down in the comment section there. Because we will be paying back the loan, yes. And who, you know, the question is, who will be paying back the money? It is not the president. It is the Kenyans who will be taxed to pay back that loan. Now, as we will be taxed to be paying back that loan, the question is, this loan that we will be paying back, where did it go? Or did it do the work it was meant to do? You know, this government has turned to be the government of everyone is praising that government. Even if the wrong happens, no one can come out to say that this and this had happened and it is not wrong or it is not advantageous to our people. And that is the government we have right now. You saw Buru Ginga some days back during the Nyota Fund program disbursement event in Kisumu. He talked about the opposition calling the protests, and because the opposition doesn't know how to organize and do the protests, the opposition should go to him so that he can teach them how to do it. You know, Buru Ginga never even went to the streets during the protests. He never went. So, you know, I wondered when I heard him saying that he can teach the opposition how to do the protests. It is very sad to me that wrong thing has happened, but because you are fighting for your own benefits, you cannot stand to say that this one or this thing that happened, it is very wrong, and we need not to sugarcoat them, or we need not to assume them that they have happened, but we just need to hit the hammer on the nail. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this podcast. And if you've watched it and you've not subscribed, just to remind you that if you have not subscribed, kindly subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, like our videos, and comment. And to those who have already subscribed to this channel, we say thank you very much for your continued support to our work in this channel, dear ladies and gentlemen.